Hi, welcome back to In the Loop with Millie and Liv.
This week's theme is a bit different to our usual stuff. We're talking about friendship breakups rather than relationship breakups, and which one we deem is worse.
Yeah. To be fair, I would say that friendship breakup is worse.
I feel like when you're in a relationship with somebody, they become your friend at the same time.
Yeah, but it's essentially they are your best friend.
They're your best friend.
They're your very special friend.
But your bestest friend.
My bestest of friends.
No, but like I do think like if I look back on like my friendship breakups and then my relationship breakups, me and my friend Daisy, we fell out. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. It was my fault. I ditched her for a boy.
Liv,
Daisy, I'm sorry.
Don't be that gal.
I was like 15.
I don't care.
Oh no, it was bad. I was manipulated by him. He was like, "They're bad for you." I was like, "Okay, all right." But we fell out for maybe like a year, and we just didn't speak. And we had sorted that stuff out, but we weren't completely right. And then we just didn't speak for like a year. And then one evening, she messaged me because we lived like 2 streets away at this point. She's like, "I'm coming over."
All right, thanks.
And we've been the same ever since, really.
Yeah.
But I do think, like, looking into it, like, we have spoken about it, and I was like, that was probably the worst time of my life, and I didn't have you with me. Yeah. And I've known Dave since I was like 11. So that's my mother. Kim,
not right now, Kimberly.
Kimmy, go away.
Do not disturb.
Sorry, but humble now, Kim's just...
But to be fair, I would like to say, like, I haven't ever had like a boyfriend or like any relationship at all. Like, I guess secondary school, but I don't really think that counts because...
Well, what year in secondary? That's what...
Well, like, it varied because, like, there was, like, year 10, but it was frigid. And then...
Well, like, barely holding hands, like
yeah,
loosely, like,
I think they were all kind of frigid, but they also didn't last long because I was bullied at school, and to ask me out was literally just for a joke.
Oh, Mills! Oh, baby, no! Oh, no, that hurts my heart.
Like, there is a bit of deep-rooted trauma there, to be honest. Can't lie.
It's become a therapy session quickly.
But I would say that at school, I wasn't necessarily the one that deliberately started drama. I just thought I was doing the right thing.
You tried to play Switzerland in the situation.
I'm just a people pleaser. And then that came back to bite me.
See, and I hate rehashing this because I was so in the wrong for this. I fell out with like my whole friend group. Maybe like 4 months.
Oh, I fell out with my whole friend group in like year 13, but it was partly 13. For me. It was partly my fault, but people then lied and were like, "Oh no, we didn't do this." You did.
Exactly.
You did.
Exactly. Well, I fell out of them because I was in a really bad like headspace and really bad place. I wasn't a very nice person, a good person to be around.
I had that.
And I said some things which, looking back now, I am disgusted I ever said that.
Yeah, same.
And it was mainly about like my friends' futures.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
And it's because everybody was skipping lessons and I wouldn't because I needed the grades. And then I was in a foul mood. Me and my boyfriend at the time had fallen out about something really. I don't even know what it was. It was something really shitty that made it to be something way bigger. They were just winding me up, and I said some awful things. And then I said it to one person who was saying the exact same things. Me and him were both talking about it, and we were like, and then we ended it being like, we really do hope they're doing okay though, but like they're not doing anything for them good right now.
Yeah.
When it came out, like, I got a call that night, and they were like, "We heard you said this." I got exiled from the group chat, blocked, removed, didn't speak to any of them. And I was walking home one day from school, and I had like other friends. I had another friend group that I was hanging around with, who I'm still really close to.
Yeah.
And this is so bad. I was walking home, and I ran into Harriet, and we hadn't spoken in weeks. She starts crying, I start crying. We're walking back, and we're talking about it, and I was like, and she was saying, I was just like, wait, hold on. So this hasn't been like, do you not know about so and so? She said, what do you mean? I pull up screenshots, messages, receipts. I pull through. And then she's like, right, let's go to your house. So this is when we kind of made up.
Yeah.
They all got sent to a group chat. But the group chat I got kicked out of, and I got added back so I could send them over. And then I just left again. We just let it go. It was awful. And then we all were fine. I think we had like Christmas half term. We all kind of spoke. And then after that, we were just like, this is pathetic.
Yeah. See, my situation was, I had a lot going on, like, at home. Like, it was leaning to exams, but I had a lot going on at home at the time. And then I just remember feeling angry. And I was like, I don't know why. I mean, there was obviously clearly a reason why I was angry.
Yeah.
And then exams were coming up. And then these people were feeding me this information that this girl allegedly said about me. They were like, she said this, she said that.
It's always
I can't
he said,
remember
she
what
said.
was said. But I was like, oh, they're two of my most closest friends. Like, we were all like a group of 4 in our drama class.
Yes, she's
And
mentioned this.
there was that duo, because of the school production, they just suddenly became close, and then we were left out of everything. So then I would then say things back. I'm going, well, she said things that way. I'm going to be malicious back.
Yeah.
So then she'd allegedly like kept saying things even more malicious. And then I got pulled out of an English class.
Ooh. See, I've never had a thought where I'd be pulled out of class.
And then they were like, well, we've heard this and that and the other. And I was like, well, she needs to stop saying things about me. Like, I know I didn't want to throw people under the bus. So then I spoke to her later that day, and I was like, she was like, you said this. And I was like, yeah, I have, but people have said this about you. And then she was like, I don't believe you. We didn't speak for months. The whole group didn't speak to me. Someone I was friends with, like best friends in secondary school, didn't speak to me after that. And I was like, you literally could have told me that she wasn't saying any of these things, but you're just defending her, which I get, like, don't get me wrong, needs to be defended. But you could just been like, that they're lying, like she hasn't said anything. And then it was just stupid. And then I ended up through her exams. She really didn't get on with exams, and I was like, I will make it my mission to be there for her.
Yeah.
And then I remember meeting up one day, and we just spoke about everything. And she was like, oh my God, I didn't know. There was one thing that was said that I was like, oh, I thought about saving on Snapchat at the time, but I didn't. And I so wish I did, because I'd have that receipt.
See,
but she knows now.
I feel like, and I've said this since the day dot of uni starting, is that you come in thinking everyone's mature, but teenage girls are still teenage girls.
Yeah.
We are all malicious. I mean, I was awful.
Yeah. But equally, being at uni and then obviously school, friendships are so incredibly different, because at school you're seeing them every single day.
7 days a week.
You're forced into a close proximity. But at uni, I live at uni, you live at home. I feel like they're so different.
Oh, they're massively different.
Obviously,
but I feel like the thing is, I feel like because I live at home, I see a lot more of my hometown friends. But even then, like, we're all working. I mean, a lot of my friends didn't go to uni, they all went to work. The ones who did picked unis miles away.
Yeah.
And then I lost a lot of touch with, like, my uni friends.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, yesterday everybody was sitting there being like, oh, Liv just talks to anyone and everyone at the uni. I'm like,
But that's what my friend group say about me. They're like, you know everyone. But that's because I do a society.
That's because you do society, and it's because I used to go and watch.
Can you put your phone on Do Not Disturb?
Yeah, I'm really
please?
sorry. It's student union election. That's what it is. Student union election.
Yeah,
guys.
the election.
Is that what I've signed for you?
Yes, you have.
Perfect. I'll write your name down in a minute. But I feel like this is the other thing as well, and that I feel people don't discuss, is that when you're in like uni, relationships, like romantic relationships, your friends aren't as critical because you were grown up.
Yeah, but they're not as involved as well.
Yeah, because you have private lives. Yeah. What I do remember from secondary school is it was everybody would get with everyone's partners. Like, you'd break up.
It was like incest.
Right it was just like you'd break up. 2 hours later, you'd see them holding hands in the corridor, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And you'd be like broken hearted, and you're like, oh my God.
But I would say that obviously living at home, I've got to try and upkeep these relationships a lot more. But I'm really bad at texting people. Like, I'm quite awful.
You're good when it comes to certain things.
When it comes to certain things.
And then I'll message you on like a Friday night. I won't hear back till Monday. When we're in an election, like, oh yeah, you messaged me. So what happened? I was like, I'm not answering in the middle of an election. And always be like the most like.
In my mind though, a lot of the time I'm like, well, I'll just see them then. Like, I could just go and ask them, rather than like, oh, I could literally just text them. But at home, it's quite upkeep. And then at uni, obviously I'm with them sometimes, but I live with Lola, and I don't see her every day sometimes. Sometimes I see her, we go to the gym Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday together. But when like her boyfriend's down, I don't see her every day. Or like she'll have work and I'll have work and I have cheer. And then, we have the podcast. I don't see her every day. We have coursework.
What I feel like this is another thing that I had. Who was it? I had George, Harriet, Poppy, and Soph come to mind a couple of weeks back. And I had work in the evening. I mean, granted, they just stayed at my house. I got home from work. It was a 5-hour shift. I went there, came back, they were in bed. You know, guys. And I was doing coursework while they were around the house. And they were like, it's just so weird that you're going to work after this, you're doing all this essay writing, it's like you're back in sixth form.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, but without all the bitchiness.
You can have to bleep that.
I will bleep that out. I did realise as I said that. Sorry.
It was the pause.
It was like it was the millennial pause. But I do think the upkeep of like platonic relationships is so much more difficult than the upkeep of romantic ones.
But equally, when I go home, I'm like, well, I need to see the X, Y, and Z, but I need to see my family, especially during Christmas. I found that very stressful. Like, don't get me wrong, I didn't communicate. But I was like, well, I'm going to be up with you then. And then I'd have to see I want to see my family. And I wanted to see like close family friends who like I grew up with. My godmother and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
So how long were you away for Christmas? 3 weeks?
2.5.
2.5. So that's not enough time to see everybody. So then it just
meant that I wasn't seeing my friends until after Christmas. And I was like, well, one of them obviously, we've spoke about this now, but like, I didn't communicate, so it was annoying them. And then I ended up booking a ticket of the races, and I didn't want to go to the races, but I was like, well, I need to spend time with them because they're not happy that I can't spend time with them. But it's like, I'm not there for 3 months at a time. Do you know what I mean?
It's the push and pull of it.
And then there's the like friendship breakups. I had one last year, and I remember asking people on our course at the time, going, guys, what do I do about this?
I remember me and you, because when the Belgian project was underway.
Yeah.
I remember me and you, because we hadn't really spoken before that.
No. But I was like,
you were just like, Liv, what do I do? And I was just like, right.
Yeah, because I remember it was when it was going to be introduced, and I was like, I said to you, Ella, Hermione, Lola, Kate, and Rose, like, most of our girls in our course, and I was like, what do I do about this? So I ended up with that girl like not speaking to her, like I was being really distant. And then it got to New Year's Eve of 2024, and she was like, are we friends, are we not? And I sent my message. Obviously, I'm not going to say what was in the message because I would rather not.
Let's not go there today.
Then we've recently, in the last month, gotten back in contact, and it's like we have the humour of like what it was like, but I just don't know really what to do with it.
I think people kind of underestimate how much friendship breakups hurt.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a teenager, because, I mean, we were saying this before we even came in here. When you're like 10 years old, you're on the school playground.
You can play with Barbies, play tag,
but
like,
you've also
an imagination.
got like, you got the kid, you and your best friend, you didn't sit together at lunch. You're fighting now, and you're on opposite sides of the playground, and somebody's running up and down, passing on messages.
I'm not gonna lie to you though, like I can't be angry for someone for 5 minutes. Like, if I was upset with someone at school, do you remember you have to go in on Monday? And go, oh, I'm annoyed at them. They didn't give me something at lunchtime.
It's also like I feel like when I think back on like primary school friendships, I have one memory that sticks with me, and it was I was going to stay at Harriet's house actually, and. This just says how long I've known her for, because I've known her since I was literally 2. So we've got almost 20 years of friendship under our belt. And I was staying at somebody else's house. And I couldn't sit next to her, but she was my best friend at the time. And still is one of my closest friends. And we headbutted, we were fighting, we were scrapping.
Do you remember when you go round to a friend's house, you'd have to play with that friend all day, sit with that friend at lunchtime all day, and then like you'd have to point at your parents, be like, my parents here, and you hold their hand and you run up to their parents.
And you're like, hello, Mrs. and Mister.
Oh, I never had to do that. I just had to be like, oh.
No, I was because I knew Harriet before primary school started. My mum and her mum were quite good friends. Yeah. I mean, they do still speak actually, and our primary school was quite small, so everyone knew everyone. I mean, people that I see,
had that as well.
People I see in the pubs, I've known since I was in like nappies.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, all right, you're right, mate. Let's just not remember her. And I remember, just like going to secondary school was such a big culture shock because.
Oh yeah.
Did you have like French and Spanish? In like secondary school?
Secondary was quite small. What did you say? I'm so sorry.
Did you have French and Spanish in school?
We had just French.
So we had French and Spanish.
Yeah.
And if you did French, when you'd have maths, Spanish would have English, vice versa.
We did that.
Yeah. So all my friends from primary school got put onto French because we had, and this was like the biggest betrayal. We had to write like a list of 3 people we wanted in our tutor.
Yeah.
What language we wanted to do. And because we all wrote them together and they were like, we want to do Spanish. I'm like, okay, I'll write Spanish down. And they all lied. They all picked French. And I do think at the same time, like, I knew that like a few of them had actually picked Spanish because we wrote it together, but they all got put in French and I was stuck in Spanish and I knew no one. So I was starting fresh, trying to make friends. And to be fair, I was very lucky because I met Alicia on the first day of school and she was in my tutor and I met her like on our induction day and we stayed very close friends. And she was very cool in school. Like, I looked up to her and I was just like, I want to be just like you. She's going to hear this and be like, oh, you like me. Fuck off. I will bleep that. I'm sorry.
Live.
Yeah, but that's how I feel. But I was very lucky that I found like, a friend with her. And then she knew Daisy from, like, about probably the same time I knew Harriet for. But I met Daisy. And then me and Daisy realised we lived like really close to each other. We started getting closer. I then had, me and Daisy, this is the worst part, me and Daisy would be hand in hand no matter where we were going. We would be causing trouble, we'd be falling out with people, but we'd always be doing it together.
Yeah.
And so we went through a different friend group every year. I mean, I started dating my first boyfriend in like, year nine. And we'd always be with him, and then me and him broke up, and it was very messy for being 14. Oh my God, honestly. Every now and then, because me and him are still quite good friends, I'll just be like, remember when this happened?
You are aware that this episode is about friendship breakups are worse than romantic ones.
Oh, I'm getting
Okay.
to this. That's fine. So me and him are still pretty good friends.
Yeah.
And I said to him the other day, I was like, I think it hurt more because me and you were like really good friends. We were just kind of like, we just had to hold hands.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of really upset me. And say, oh, all right, like, yeah. But I just remember me and Daisy we were inseparable. And then I did sixth form, she did college, and it was make or break for us. And I was gutted. And when
I think it is a culture shock though.
It's a massive
when you go up
culture
each stage, you're like, oh, like I've actually got to actually try.
I think when my first long-term boyfriend broke
Not
up
that I
with
don't
me,
try.
but it's when my first long-term boyfriend broke up with me that me and her hadn't spoken in months.
Yeah.
And I called her and I was like, can you come to the shop with me? She's like, why is everything okay? I was like, just get your shoes on, go try. We left our house, I mean, this was not planned, in identical outfits. Grey trackies, really disgusting blue jumper. We had our hair just awful. There's a photo on my phone somewhere. We were like, just got broken up with. Went to the shop, bought some fabs, bought some orange shoes, me and the Kings.
Oh yeah, of course.
And we get to the park, we sit down, she's like, okay, I just go, come with me. Awful. Diabolical.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, I remember going home being like, I'm just so glad you're my friend.
Oh.
And me and her, like, we sorted a lot of stuff out at that point. And then after that, really, I mean, we just ended up being inseparable again. She lived at my house throughout COVID. And I do think like that was the biggest heartbreak of my life, is when me and Daisy fell out.
Yeah.
And when me and Harriet fell out, that was awful.
Have I had one of them yet? Let me think.
I think it's when you come back to them as well. Like, I tried to rebound friend groups.
I mean, I guess that one in like second year of sixth form was one. But other than that, I wouldn't say that I've had one as of yet. Where's word? Touch wood.
Touch wood. I do think though, like, it makes me upset because I think about it. I'm just like, we once just fighting over dolls and fighting over like kid stuff. You go to secondary, you're trying to be mature, but you're not.
Yeah.
And you're falling out because, oh, you're dating my boyfriend from year 8. We're in year 10.
Yeah.
And it's all like petty stuff. And then you get to like sixth form in uni, and everything, life becomes a bit more real.
But I also do think back at like being 16 and thinking, me and my friends thought we knew everything.
Yeah.
And you don't.
Do you know what I keep thinking is?
I still don't now.
I was watching what was I watching? Some corny thing with teenagers and like love and everything wonderful. They are 16 years old of a show, and I'm Riverdale, for prime example.
Yeah.
Insert image of me at 16. Nobody deserved to see that. Ever.
I'll decide whether I want to do that as well.
Insert me at 16.
And if not, I'll be like, do you know what? I'm okay.
It was I couldn't, because I was edgy. I was trying to be edgy. Oh. So I'd have, and I'm really good at eyeliner now. I mean, you've seen my eyeliner, it's pretty precise. At this point,
felt it pen.
No, mate. I'd get, you know, like angled brushes. I'd get a bit of black eyeshadow. I'd just do one line either side. Didn't connect it. It was just literally a line. And I'd leave the house. And I remember my friends being like, "You look so good. That's so great."
Do you know what I did in year
Liars.
8? In year 8, I tried to like use makeup and stuff, and it was really orange. Don't get me wrong.
Oh God, yeah.
And people would pick up on it, or like people just wouldn't do it in the best way. Or I remember having high.
When relationships end, they are awful, but you realise how much you've got to gain.
I also do think, yeah, like obviously relationships do shape you, like all relationships shape you, but the ongoing ones are always going to be the friendship ones, because like I've had one through uni, one of my closest friends. There were like hurdles and stuff along the way. I got to summer and I was like, I'm not going to keep initiating meetups anymore. It was always me all the time. And I just didn't text them first, and I got nothing until November of last year. And I was staying at my auntie's, and I just was looking, and I was like, they've unadded me on Snapchat, they've unfollowed me on everything. And then I was like, oh, I'll just follow them again. I'm now blocked. I'm blocked.
I was really good friends with this girl who was dating my ex's best friend. Me and him broke up, haven't spoken since. And we were like inseparable for months. And I went on to like find the photo from our saved in chats. And it was just of me. I just wanted the photo.
Yeah.
And it was like, user not found, blocked. And a lot of stuff was said by her about me that I found out come the end of my relationship. And I don't think she knows I know. No, she does, because I got sneaky and in an argument said it. But in all fairness,
I always love that though, when you just fire it out. You're like, I know you've said this.
To be fair, when that happened, I was just like in shock. She would say it in the first place, so I was saving it for a rainy day, and I was just like, I'm so glad I said that, and I just haven't spoken to her since.
What was her reaction?
She just blocked me. She blocked me, and then she messaged certain people and was just like, right, well, X, Y, Z. And I haven't heard from her since. Haven't heard from any of them.
Oh, well, so was the argument just not in person?
No, it was on the message.
Oh.
Because she wouldn't see me. Like I would try and like see her, catch up with her and stuff, and she just wasn't having any of it. She just wouldn't.
Yeah.
But I do think, I mean, relationship breakups are awful because they make you never want to date again. They make you like, I don't believe in love.
Yeah.
Love isn't real. And then I sit here and I'm lying because I'm just like, I have made so many amazing friends and I've had so much support that, in my opinion, love is platonic more than anything. You can have soulmates that are your friends. Relationships are just kind of there. They're just there for rainy days. I need a weekend boyfriend. That's like what I've decided, because I can't fully commit. I don't put myself through that again.
I think there's another name for that. A weekend boyfriend.
me and Soph talked about this earlier, actually. And I was just like, I just need a boyfriend for the weekend, so I'm like lonely on a Sunday night. She's like, what do you mean? Like,
sometimes just want to cuddle.
That's literally it. I want someone to eat a roast dinner with me.
Oh, that roast dinner that you messaged me the other day. Oh,
banging, wasn't it?
I just want my mum to cook me a roast dinner. I'm going home in like 3 weeks.
This is what I mean though. When you say about like French relationship breakups, you always forget the biggest relationship you're ever gonna have is the relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
If I didn't live at home, Jesus Christ, I didn't live at home, I think I'd be dead.
You would be.
I'm a good cook. I'm a very good cook. Millie, I promise you I am. Don't pull that face. I'm generally a really good cook.
But you forget.
No, the issue is that everything I cook, and it could be going from like steak to noodles.
How do you take your steak?
Bloody.
Blue, yes.
Bloody.
Right, carry on.
It has to be walking around still.
Yes.
Still kicking and screaming.
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
But with me and my mum was about the other night. I don't know why. I was really, really upset for some reason. There was no rhyme or reason. It's when the buses were delayed and I was stuck in town for an hour. Yeah. And I had to pay 25 quid for an Uber so I could actually go home.
Right, I thought that was...
It was off. It is off. Oh, it's because my Do Not Disturb's turned off. It's 12 o'clock now. But she was like, are you glad you live at home? And I just went, yeah. Yes, I am, mummy. And she was like, okay, you get into bed and I'll bring you up some dinner. And I was being proper coddled. Oh. Like I had my dog, had a cup of tea, I had my dinner in bed.
Little Joey. He's not little though, he's massive.
He's actually not. He's actually quite a small dog. Like he looks huge when he's sat.
Yeah, because he's like this.
But then when he stands up, he just looks small and awkward. He is just small and awkward. And I'm just like, you okay, babe? And he goes, he side-eyes people. He literally does it. My mum, when we got him, this is probably rude, he came with missing parts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They decided to and bin him off.
Yeah.
And my mum, because I don't know if I can actually say this, I might get cancelled for this. I'm going to say it anyway.
No, you're not going to say it.
No, my mum was like, well, he hasn't got anything, so what, like, he's basically just a little girl because he's not got anything down there. And he turned around and just side-eyed her, growled at her and walked away. She went, oh no, he understood me. I was like, Mum, you've just taken away his whole
I feel like he's
masculinity."
like the real life version of Scooby-Doo.
You know what he is. And I know Scooby-Doo's a specific type of dog, but Joe just is like, what is it? You know that photo I sent you of him looking out the window in the middle of the night?
And he was like this.
He was growling at the rain because it was like hitting down our roof very hard. And I was like, it's the rain, Joe, just go to sleep. And I'm like laid on my front, I'm wrapped up, I'm comfy. He moves, he then will stand on me until I like move for him to get comfortable. And he had like, I don't know how you sleep. I sleep with like one leg like that. Like, do you know what I mean? I starfish.
I'm in the fetal position.
I'm a starfisher.
On my side.
I like my space. That's why I couldn't have a partner now, because they'd be sleeping on the floor.
Well, I've got a single bed, so.
At my dad's, I've got a single bed at my dad's, to be fair, and I sleep in fetal position now.
Yeah, I sleep.
But I starfish at my mum's, and the dog will get like in between my legs and lay down, like, so he's got something to like rest head on. And it's lovely at the time until I wake up and my legs are dead, my butt is dead. And I've woken up and there's a photo somewhere, my mum's got it, and it's me like dead asleep, and it's the dog like laid on my bum.
Do dogs move when they're asleep?
Joey does.
Oh.
Joey sleeps like that, like legs in the air like that. Again, I've got a photo somewhere. And like if he's asleep, I'll be stroking him and he'll get this. So he like doesn't bite my finger, but he like just like nips it and holds it there. So it's just like,
we've gone really far off topic.
I know. I'm like, do you want to like hold my hands on? We actually have really gone off topic.
Yeah.
But Mills, what is your opinion? Like, do you think friendship breakups are worse than relationship breakups?
I would argue yes. I think it obviously depends on the situation, because there are a lot. Obviously, like I said, I feel like friendship breakups would affect you for longer, but obviously it depends what happens in your relationship.
Yeah.
However, I would say that because at the end of the day, romantic relationships, a lot of them are temporary, or you don't have them for your whole life. However, friendships, like they're like, especially when they're long term, like they're your go-to people if something is going wrong. If you're having a bad day, like sometimes you just want to have a girls' night. Sometimes you just want to talk to a girl, like, and you just need like help.
The issue is that they say it. I've seen this all over Instagram since I was about 12 years old. And it's like when you go to school, you're not finding your husband, you're finding your bridesmaids.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact, like the girls and George.
Yeah, obviously.
And George, he needs to include. They are like they were my savior for a long time. I mean, through my parents' divorce.
Yeah.
Through living with my grandparents, and I mean, we got the keys to the house, and they drove up to help us move in.
Oh.
They were carrying furniture,
but like,
making my stuff.
Imagine if one of them wasn't there anymore. Imagine if you didn't have George anymore.
Oh my God, don't! He's the man of our house.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like that. It's honestly like other half of me would be gone. If I fell out with one of my best friends, Imi, now, or my best friend from nursery, Fern, I actually don't know what I'd do with myself, because that's genuinely a part of me that's just gone.
It's a heartbreak. I mean, me and Harriet, we don't talk a lot. We try to, but she's got her partner and her work. Yeah. I've got union work. And I'm trying to make myself more available.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm quite like, I like going home. I like just being at home by myself. I'm quite comfortable in my own
I feel like now that like second year, I've seen this a lot on TikTok, like second, third years, like I just don't want to go out. I couldn't think of anything better than going out personally. See, I don't go out that often because it's so expensive.
Yesterday was probably the most I've gone out in a while.
Yeah.
And that was purely because it was like a drag show.
So good.
I have friends who have like got out of long-term relationships recently who are like trying to go out. Yeah. And like that was me last year. I can fault it. Again, insert clips of me doing cartwheels around Plymouth. Not in a good state. I'm gonna start actually putting clips into this. Yeah. Put up my Snapchat memories.
You are gonna, yeah.
But like what I think I've realised is seeing my friends heartbroken over mediocre boys who don't like
exactly. Those are your go-to people.
These are the people who like it hurts me to see. I cried with one of my friends when she was upset about breaking up with somebody, and I was just like, I've never seen you so upset, and I hate it. I mean, these are the people who, I'm not being funny, I have gone to for everything.
Exactly. Imagine when one of them wasn't there anymore.
Don't even go there. I mean, when I fell out with them,
the thing is, you learn how to function again without either or, but especially without having a romantic relationship.
The issue is when it's friendships, they say like when you're with a partner,
it's a whole different way of life.
So they know more about you than anybody else. Because you gravitate towards people who you like associate with.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would ever, and I mean ever, feel the way I feel about my friends for a man.
Oh yeah.
And that's coming from someone who has like had people be like, oh, my boyfriend, my husband, my partner, my best friend.
I also feel like if some people were to go, oh, what about this person? I'd be like, oh, like we have Taylor on chair. And I'm like, I just love Taylor. I love him. Why do you love him? Because I just do. If you were to say that about a romantic person, be like, why do you love him? You be X, Y, and Z. Like you can't. Sometimes you can't explain
why you love him.
You can't explain your love for people. Sometimes you just love them.
We've got a friend called Ed who comes to the club when I'm working, and I adore him, absolutely adore him. I adore a lot, like all my guy mates, but this specifically for Ed is because a lot of the players assume we were together once. Never happened, never will happen. We've discussed this. We've both decided the idea makes us feel violently ill.
Violet.
No, thank you. And I'm just like, just love him. Just love him. That's not an issue. Is such a crime?
Yeah.
But then again, like a lot of my guy mates, I just adore them. I have no reason to. I just think like, you're boy me.
Yeah.
Or you're just like the counter opposite of me. But we
even so,
great.
You sometimes you cannot explain it.
And that's why I feel like friendship relationships are so much harder.
Yeah.
Because when you're dating somebody, you like pick out what you have.
I also think you have a life outside of that relationship.
Your life is your friends.
But your friend, obviously you don't have that friend anymore. You don't have a life anymore.
I'm not being funny. Your partner is part of your life. Your friends are your life.
Yeah.
One thing I will put out there,
like mates before dates.
Bros for hoes. But one thing I will put out there, and I feel like this is something that when people talk about friendship breakups, they don't count this in. It's when you're friends with a boy and you try being like more than friends. And that is the friendship breakup.
This is why in books they can't do enemies to friends to lovers.
Because it never works.
Never works.
And like I've seen it like a very once in a blue moon.
And like secondary school, be like, oh, who'd you like? You ...
And then like I like you, and haha, I meant you ? I don't know. No. The worst part is when like I'm a very I will just talk to anybody.
Oh my God,
and I feel like people, especially guys, interested or not, take that the wrong way.
Or it's just specifically like I find that guys now, I don't really like. I'm not the closest friends with like my immediate circle on guys because number one, they're just not. They're just not.
I'm not being funny. If you got a girl problem, you wouldn't go run into your guy mate going like, guess what?
Yeah. But also, I just think a lot of guys, and there's a lot of stigma around it in the fact that girls can't be friends with guys. Girls can be friends with guys. I don't see, girls aren't the problem.
I have friends that are guys, and like, I could be going out with them. We could be at my house. We could be, it's mainly George.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And I'll have people be like, oh, like, are you two a thing? I'm like,
yes. No. Or do you remember when Leon, it was like, I was speaking to Leon one night and someone came up to him going, are you going to get with her? And he's like, no.
Yes. And then,
I love Leon. I do.
Yes.
Not that much.
And then you've got like, oh God, no, because Leon gets it all the time. But me and
Just because he's friends with girls, God forbid.
God forbid a guy.
God forbid a
entertaining for
guy is
womankind.
in tune with his
Femininity.
masculinity and his femininity. Like, God forbid.
I do think though is that like when people discuss like girls being friends with guys, as long as you are just platonic, it works. But the
then I
moment
think
you
that-
catch feelings, it makes it 10
But
times
also, I
difficult.
think that, like, there's always things going out on TikTok, like a guy only, like, if you were to message a guy going, oh, let's like get together, they're like, yeah, let's do it. They're only friends with people that they're like attracted to, which isn't always a thing.
I'm not being funny. And I have had this said to me, and it includes my guy mates, is that somebody went, your whole friend group is just really good looking.
Yeah, we are.
I was like, wow, thank you. Like somebody literally went, like, everybody that I see you have on your story is actually a very good looking person. I'm like, is that including me? Is that not including me? I'm just very egotistical. I like being complimented. But I look at some of my guy friends, I'm just like, you are the ugliest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Probably not the nicest thing. Oh, they call me claps, it's fine. We have an understanding. But
that's fine.
as long as you are like friendly, and if you are going to take it to the next level, you both have to be on board with it.
Yeah.
Because the moment you tell someone you like them and then like, oh,
it's just awkward. Or like in school, be like, I like you, but they're like, oh, I don't like you back. Like, can we just not make this awkward?
Or it's the whole like, I like you too, but only as a friend. Oh my God. So I just got PTSD from that. I'm like, you do it as a friend. Ooh. It just like, I always think that friendship breakups will always hurt more than romantic because, like we said earlier, your partner's part of your life, your friends are your life.
Yeah.
They like somebody, I saw something the other day that said you are like a mosaic of everyone you've ever met and loved. And I'm like, and I said, I was like, oh, is that true? But then again, I wouldn't cook a certain way if somebody hasn't put it out to me.
But you do, when you deep it, you think, oh my God, like, and especially with things that happen, like if you have trauma, you're going to go about some things in a certain way because of that. Like, we're born blank slates. It's just our environment and the people around us that make us us.
You say that. I think I'm very much on the point of like your path is already written for you.
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm the second child, so I'm a bit rambunctious. So I would, compared to my brother, I would say I'm definitely different.
Oh God, yeah, me and Ben are completely different kids.
But my brother was quite shy growing up and like quite timid. And like I was more of the daredevil, but now he's more outgoing than I am.
Yeah.
But I was like, I would go and speak to anyone growing up. Now, I've kind of gone into myself, and I think that is part of COVID.
I was never a shy kid.
I bet you weren't.
But I was a very
intermission.
I cared what people thought about me.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I was bullied,
sometimes a bit too much. And I look at the friends I have now, and I'm like, I can do whatever, whenever. I can be exactly as I am. I come as I am. And I'm not really made to feel like rubbish for it.
Yeah.
And I think it was like growing up under the whole like, especially with girls in school being like, I look so fat in this, I look huge. When I was a much bigger
does shape
kid.
you. Yeah.
And I think that's
I agree.
Shaped me when it comes to romantic relationships. I'm very
because I never believed that people like me because I was always the girl that people would ask out for a joke.
I was the one,
but it's so deep rooted. I don't think people
was the token friend.
I
had my friends were gorgeous.
Yeah,
and then you had me.
Yeah, same.
And I know some people they're gonna see this, and I'm very sorry, but I'll be like, that was never the case. And I was like, not for you because you were the one who was the pretty friend.
Yes,
but because I was, and I look back at photos. I mean, I've had my Snapchat account since I was 12.
Yeah,
or 13.
She said she was 12.
She said she was 12. And I get like memories come up almost every day of like 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. And it was me at 16, and one came up this morning, and I was in gym wear because I was going out, but I didn't want to dress up. I was nothing. I was really pretty.
I look at myself like now, and I think, do you know what, as a kid, like, yeah, but that's because I had like a lot of child baby fat.
Probably fat.
And then I look into my teenage years, and quite frankly, I actually wasn't like, but at the time, like, it's body dysmorphia, it's your environment, it's people telling you this, that, and the other.
I've been called fat more times than I can count. I get it now. And I'm not a big girl. Granted, I'm on the bigger side.
But that's just the way that your body's shaped.
Yeah. I'm not being funny.
You're gifted.
I'm gifted. Yeah, I'll go with
Yeah.
that. I'll go with that.
Yeah.
God's favourite. But I mean, I was just so scared that people wouldn't want to be in a relationship with me. But when it finally happened, I did anything and everything I could to keep them there. Because I was so panicked they were going to wake up one day and be like, you are the ugliest thing to hit the planet. And I was going through such a time where I didn't wear makeup, I didn't put any effort in. I looked atrocious. And like I mean, I was still told I was very beautiful every day by him, and I appreciate it. And like that's one thing I did appreciate about our relationship is I was never made to feel like I wasn't good looking.
Yeah.
And then I hit uni and I was like, I need to actually put some effort in. I mean, I have copper hair now.
Yeah.
I am a bit emo, which is okay. We're
Cut
okay.
my life into pieces.
We're okay with that. Linkin Park and whatnot. But I feel like your friendships as you get older are so much more valuable to you than a relationship ever will be, unless you've been together for like 7 years. Like, oh, I love you.
Yeah.
But I just like we said earlier.
But you kind of like your friends are your life. You've got to create a relationship to be your life. So like if you're going on to get married and like whether you have kids or not and then you live together.
But that switches the line between being part of your life and becoming your life.
Exactly. You in a sense you create them your life as your friends. They are your life.
They are your life from the start. I mean, you spend every day in school with them. You see them outside of school. You don't go a day without talking to them.
Yeah.
Boyfriends come and go, but your friends you got to keep hold of.
Yeah.
And that is like a big thing, firm believer in, especially because I have made mistakes in friendships.
Yeah.
And I can admit that now. I couldn't at the time. I was very like, I'm never the problem. And I was the problem. I made some choices, to say the least.
But I think that happens to everyone. But equally, relationships.
But relationships also take a toll on friendships. I mean, you're going to start caring more about seeing your partner because you love them and you're in love and you want to be around them. But maybe, I don't know. I just think that we're at an age where life is so much bigger than what we were at 16.
Yeah. Tell us what you think about friendship breakups being worse than romantic ones. We'd love to hear what you'd have to say about it.
Yeah, we would.
But I think that it's time to go.
I think it's time to go.
It's lunchtime.
It's lunchtime and I have a radio show to get to in 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.
Bye.
Bye.